Today we're getting into some truly fascinating source material. It's a really deep, detailed analysis of the 1997 film Contact,
Yeah.
which, based on Carl Sagan's amazing novel.
Yeah, classic.
And this isn't just a surface-level look at the movie. This analysis is designed to pull out the core insights, the massive ideas it wrestles with. It's exactly the kind of material we love to unpack here.
Absolutely. Contact is such a standout in sci-fi, isn't it? Precisely because it doesn't shy away from the big questions.
Right.
The complex relationship between science and belief, humanity's place in the cosmos, all of that. And this analysis we're looking at, it really digs into those concepts, kind of distills the key themes for anyone interested in that kind of thought-provoking sci-fi.
And our mission today really is to give you a solid introduction, a first look at the major territories this analysis maps out within the film.
Okay.
We're talking about three fundamental themes that this deep dive into the source material really illuminates: space travel, freedom, and extraterrestrials.
The big three for this film, yeah.
Exactly. And this conversation is honestly just scratching the surface of the layers this analysis uncovers, but it's a crucial starting point, we think.
Right, so the analysis kicks off by laying out the film's core driver, Dr. Ellie Arroway's relentless dedication to finding alien intelligence. SETI, right?
Yeah, her whole life, basically.
And when that signal finally arrives, as the analysis details, it doesn't just confirm her search, it ignites this, firestorm of conflict. Scientific, political, religious.
It touches everything.
It does. And the analysis is very careful, it seems, to present these different viewpoints impartially. It shows the tension between figures like, say, the pragmatic Dr. Drumlin and someone like Reverend Margaret, who's grappling with faith when faced with this massive unknown.
Okay, so let's look at that central premise the analysis frames so clearly. The signal. It comes from Vega, packed with information. And the first thing they notice is that universal language thing, the prime number sequence.
Right, the mathematical hello. But then, incredibly, as the source highlights, it contains blueprints.
Blueprints for thing.
Yes, the analysis describes these as plans for a machine, essentially envisioned as some kind of transport device, maybe, or a communication bridge, something to let humans travel or connect more directly with whoever sent the signal.
Wow.
And the analysis points out how the film shows building this thing becomes this massive, globally divisive project. It's a focal point for all these competing interests: who pays, who's in charge, and critically, who gets to go.
And this whole process, building it, figuring it out, the raise to use the signal, the analysis points out, this brings the core conflict right into sharp focus.
Yeah.
It's that clash between, the pure pursuit of scientific knowledge, which Ellie embodies, she's so focused, and the more pragmatic, often self-interested agendas, politics, religion, the military.
Exactly. What this analysis makes really clear is how the film uses this conflict to ask a fundamental question, both the characters and, us watching. What do we prioritize? Is it the relentless search for knowledge, even if it shakes up everything we think we know, our beliefs, our power structures? Or do we kind of cling to the status quo, protect what we already think is certain, even if it means ignoring a potentially huge truth? Ellie wants cosmic truth. Others want the truth or power they already have. The analysis really pins that down as the heart of the story.
Okay, let's really get into the three main themes this analysis explores in depth then. First up, space travel.
Right.
Now, this analysis argues that Contact treats space travel as way more than just, getting in a ship and going somewhere else. It frames it as sort of a manifestation of a really deep human impulse.
Yeah, the analysis sees Ellie's tools, the telescopes, the SETI gear, not just as science equipment, but almost like symbols of this existential longing.
Longing for what?
To explore, maybe, to understand our place, to push past our limits.
Yeah.
Maybe even just to confirm we aren't alone out here. The analysis isn't just talking about reaching Mars, it's about this fundamental human urge towards the unknown.
And what the analysis points out, which is interesting, is that the real roadblocks to this kind of exploration aren't always the tech or even the massive cost.
No.
It suggests the film shows the true barriers are often, us, self-imposed.
Right. Exactly. The analysis makes a really strong case that the film highlights our political splits, our social divisions. We might have the tech, maybe even a shared dream, but our inability to just cooperate globally, to unite for something bigger than borders or profits, that, according to this analysis, is the real limit shown in the film's depiction of the machine project.
That rings true. And then there's the journey itself, Ellie's trip. The analysis really digs into how the film shows that.
Ellie,
It's not just like physical transport through a wormhole, which is the simple sci-fi explanation.
Right. This is where the analysis gets really insightful, I think. It describes Ellie's experience not just as travel, but almost as an epiphany, a profound path to, like, self-knowledge.
An epiphany.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, the visual sequence in the film, as this analysis interprets it, isn't just showing pretty space stuff. It's blurring lines between physical reality and subjective perception, between matter and energy, you know. The analysis proposes that the point of the journey in the film isn't conquest or resources, but an experience, an altered state designed to expand consciousness, not just move a body from A to B.
That's a powerful way to frame space travel. Okay, moving on to the second big theme, the analysis unpacks. Freedom. It's fascinating how this analysis breaks freedom down into all these different layers in the film.
Yeah, the analysis argues that freedom in contact isn't just, political freedom like we normally think of it. It's about intellectual freedom, freedom of thought itself.
Okay.
And you see this in the tension the analysis highlights between Ellie's scientific method, her constant questioning, demanding evidence, and various kinds of dogmatism, whether that's religious doctrine that doesn't want to be challenged or political ideologies that ignore inconvenient truths.
And the analysis also ties freedom to personal stuff, right? Even emotional history, like Ellie's father.
Absolutely. It points to her relationship with her dad as key. Her childhood fascination, sparked by him, fuels her whole search. So pursuing the signal and then the journey, it becomes tied up with honoring that legacy, achieving a kind of personal liberation by pushing back against people who want to dismiss her work or control her.
Right.
And this leads to what the analysis calls epistemological freedom, which is a really interesting concept.
Epistemological freedom. Okay, break that down.
It's the tension between different ways of knowing things. You've got faith, right, which accepts subjective experience, belief in things you can't necessarily see or measure,
Sure.
versus science, which demands empirical, verifiable proof, hard data. And the analysis zeroes in on the film's climax, when Ellie comes back. She's had this incredible journey.
But it has no proof, just her word.
Exactly, no tangible evidence. And the world, represented by that congressional hearing, basically rejects her experience because it lacks scientific proof.
Yeah, it's a tough scene.
And the analysis argues this moment really challenges everyone, characters, audience, to face this tension. Can something be true or profoundly real, even if you can't measure it in a lab or have someone else verify it? The analysis suggests that real intellectual freedom, as the film explores it, means acknowledging that maybe some experiences, like Ellie's, push beyond empirical science but still fundamentally change our understanding of reality.
There's also that layer of moral freedom or responsibility the analysis mentions. It's not just can we make contact, but should we?
Right. Do we have the right, or maybe the wisdom, to engage with something totally unknown, maybe vastly superior, or bring back tech we don't get? It's the ethical side of freedom. Freedom to act means thinking about the consequences, doesn't it, for everyone?
Definitely. Okay, our third major theme from this analysis, extraterrestrials. The way Contact portrays alien life is central to what this source material looks at, and it deliberately avoids a common trope.
Yeah, the analysis really emphasizes that the aliens in Contact are not shown as hostile invaders. No Independence Day scenario here. Instead, the analysis sees them as entities seeking communication, dialogue, maybe connection. And the choice of language math, prime numbers, those complex signal patterns, the analysis highlights this as key. They communicate using universal principles, not threats or Earth languages. The analysis kind of frames them as potentially benevolent partners in conversation.
And the actual encounter, when Ellie travels, that's maybe the most unique part. According to this analysis, the alien intelligence doesn't show up in some bizarre, unimaginable form.
No, it takes a form Ellie can immediately understand and, crucially, trust her dead father.
Which could seem sentimental, maybe?
It could, but this analysis argues it's profoundly symbolic, not just a plot device. It suggests this reflects our limitations. Maybe we literally can't perceive their true form with our senses or minds right now. So the alien adopts a form we need, one loaded with meaning for Ellie, using a kind of universal language of love and memory.
So the analysis argues the encounter is less about seeing the aliens as they are, and more about seeing them as a reflection of us, our consciousness.
Precisely. Or our projections, maybe. The true otherness might be beyond our grasp. The analysis views this encounter less as pure science, more as a philosophical event. maybe even spiritual.
Right.
And the discovery itself, finding intelligent life out there, as portrayed here and discussed in the analysis, it fundamentally decenters humanity. That's the word they use. It shakes up our whole anthropocentric view that we're the center of everything.
And this decentering isn't just abstract. The analysis points out how the film explores the fallout. Like, is Earth unique? Do our religions still hold up if there's life everywhere? Are humans special?
Exactly. The analysis notes how the film brings up questions about God beyond Earth, or if maybe Earth isn't the only stage for creation. It's a radical challenge to our frameworks, religious, political, ethical. But the analysis also suggests that while it's challenging, this shift could open the door to seeing ourselves differently, not as the center, but as, part of a much bigger cosmic neighborhood.
So why does digging into this analysis of a film from '97 matter now? These themes feel incredibly current.
Oh, definitely. The analysis makes that point very clearly. Contact's relevance hasn't faded. I mean, look around. Space exploration talk isn't just NASA anymore. You've got private companies aiming for the stars.
Sure.
That tension between science and belief, or proof versus subjective experience, it's central to debates right now about everything from public health to AI. And the whole question of how we'd react to finding life elsewhere, even microbes, let alone intelligent life, feels more real than ever, with new telescopes in astrobiology finding potential habitats.
So this analysis really shows the film was asking questions, exploring conflicts that are still very much live debates today. It was kind of ahead of its time in framing these tensions.
Yeah, the analysis confirms Contact isn't just a sci-fi story. It's a really solid thought experiment about how humanity deals with the unknown, scientifically, personally, societally.
Okay, so this deep dive into the analysis of Contact has really opened up the rich vein of ideas in that source material. We've touched on how it frames space travel not just as movement, but as maybe a journey to self-discovery, pushing our limits. We looked at freedom as this complex mix: thought, emotion, faith versus proof.
Right.
And extraterrestrials, presented not as invaders, but as this other that might reflect us and totally challenge our place in the universe. Themes that, as this analysis shows, ignite huge conflicts in the film.
And this analysis provides really compelling arguments, uses specific examples from the film, links it all to broader philosophical ideas. That's what makes it such a valuable way to get deeper into the film's meaning.
So this has really just been an introduction, a first pass over the incredible layers this source material unpacks. Now that you've heard a bit about how this analysis views these themes, space travel as self-discovery, freedom as that tension between faith and science, aliens as a kind of mirror to humanity, what stands out to you? What initial thoughts did these ideas spark for you, thinking about the film, or even just the world today?
Yeah, think about how these layered ideas from the analysis might connect with questions maybe you're grappling with yourself right now. It's fertile ground.